Hello, I'm Nu-Trix, and today we're talking about the Arturia KeyStep37. Now, this is a cool, it's a little piece. I mean, it's not that big. It's a cool little keyboard that is a controller, that is an arpeggiator, that is a chord player. I'll show you what I mean by that. And there's a sequencer, and on top of that, it can control CV gate devices. So let's start with that part. It can control, of course, MIDI, and you've got sync in and out for the CV and gate stuff, analog stuff. And you have CV outputs, mod, gate, and pitch to control any type of modular or semi-modular piece of hardware. You have control here about the clock and the sync, and if you want to sync it, actually, if you want to talk about sync, I could do another video just about it, but put the question below and I'll see if I can have, depending on how many people want to hear about it. Because there's a lot of things in sync that can be done with this, but at the same time, sync is just another ball game altogether. So what do you have here? You actually have, I would say, 4 things. You have the arpeggiator, you have the sequencer, you have a chord section with strumming, and you have also a controller. If you turn off this, you're in a controller mode. Now you're sending MIDI messages, CC control, so channel controller from MIDI to be able to control your external device or your VST plugins. That's the logic. And of course, you've got a keyboard. One thing that is interesting is when you look at the keys, on top of them, you've got a lot of information. You've got little LEDs. Okay. If they're yellow, they're basically saying that this is what you're playing on the keys. If they're blue, these are linked with the value because you're pressing on shift here. Now you're in kind of changing the value of something in memory. Like in blue, you've got keyboard MIDI channel from 1 to 16 here. If you're a gate, you've got from 10% to 90% of the gate of the length of the keys when you play your steps. Swing, is it off or from 52% to 75%? You got the sequence, you want it to be overdub able when you record the sequence, or you want to be able to be in mono or in normal mode. And the scale that you're playing with the keys is chromatic, major, minor, blues, or user mode, and then you can create the one you want. So when you're in blue, you're basically changing internal parameters if you want. And when you're pressing a key, let's say you go here and I press a key, now what I have is the output of the arpeggiator. Now it's green. It means it's been modified by the internal MIDI processor if you want. Because if I press it, I turn it off, it's yellow. Back to play. Okay? So now, how does the arpeggiator works? Fairly simple, but there's a twist on it that is really nice. Of course, you've got a time division here. You can have very fast, different time division that you want to play with. You get the rate, which is the tempo. And you have here the type of let's say we have, I don't know, let's just have this. Up, down. You have this one, this is up and down. A bunch of them, random. Walk. Walk is weird. It's kind of having this percentage of chance, like 50% to play maybe up or down the same keys, and then another 25% to play another one. So it's kind of always a little bit randomized, but with the same keys. Another logic like that in pattern. Pattern is every time you press keys, I'm still having this down. The order in which it plays depends on, if I play again, it's not always the same, and it creates a pattern of up to 64 steps. Play again, it's going to create a new pattern of 64 steps. Now, if you like it, you should record it right away because it's a cool way to create ideas. That's what I'm saying. If you have this as a general MIDI keyboard before your DAW, it's just a great way to totally different than the other one. It stayed a lot on the first one. See, you get a 32, so it's really cool. I like it. And the last one is order. It's if you play it like this. If you play like, so it will follow the order in which you played. So this is quite standard outside of the pattern. That is really interesting because it creates ideas like that with the keys that you're having. So to trigger new ideas, I think it's a great way to play with this. Now, the next one is sequence. 8 different memories, 1 to 8, and you can record the sequence you want in it. So basically you press step record, and then type. And if you look at the timing here, you can actually press tap, 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 this one. If you press now play, okay, not a good song, but you understand that the principle is there. So by pressing tap, you're changing the length of the key, of the steps, and that's it. That's how you make it work. You can always clear the last. Let's say you didn't like the last key, so you press shift and you clear it. Or you can happen and record after that. So you're at 48, so 47, so we can have. So you saw that the one gliding, I was tapping rest while I was changing the keys, so it makes them tied notes in that case. Of course, you can record in real time also. And if you want to change the length of it, let's say you go to the second one and you go, how long will this be? Well, if you press, I think it's record, and you press the 16, if I say I want to have 38, I'm going to have, I don't know, 16 and 16, and I'm going to need another 6, 38. I want to have 453. I'm going to have actually 50 and 3. Here we go, 3. It's very flexible. It's any type of number of steps between 1 to 64, and by pressing record, you just can add the number of steps until you get the one you want. Again, oh yeah, go back. Let's go back to here. If you go back here, we had that beautiful song we made earlier. Remember that there's this overdub. If you don't have shift, if you see, it's not turned on. If you don't have it in overdub mode, every time you're going to press record and play, it's going to erase, it's going to replace what was there. If you shift overdub, it's going to play the existing notes. And it's adding them up, okay, because you're in overdub mode. So you have that choice here. Turn off the overdub. Okay, it's off. The last one is a cool one. Actually, there's 2 things. Let's go back to ARP for now. You have just a chord, the CC here. You can control the CC sound. These are MIDI controllers, so it can be assigned to, I don't know, CC74, whatever it is, the value you want. These would control a value in your synthesizer you're controlling, either physical or virtual. And you have 4 banks. So if you want to change the banks, you basically press on shift and you switch between bank 2, 3, 4. So you have 16 of those basically. And you can either record them here or you can have it on screen, not to record, but to assign them here. The one thing is even cooler is the chord mode. No, to activate, now I'm in chord mode, but it's not activated. You have to press shift and hold to turn it on like this. Now you're in chord mode, but activated. So now if I press one key, this is really cool. Now let's go back to 0 for the strumming. What you have here, the first thing you have is the chord choice. Now there's a question of how many notes you want to play. You can have 2 notes, chord 3, 4, 5. Let's say you have 5. And then you have the volume. Volume is interesting. Is how much, as you press the key louder, more notes will appear, and if you press the key softer, just have 1. See? More notes here. This is really cool. Now, if you add strumming to this, and you see where they appear. You have control about the speed of the strumming, and then you go into time division, 4 16th, eighth of a note, and all that stuff. And you have up, and you also have the same logic down. So that's it. That's the whole package. You have cool ways to create chords, triggered ideas, the pattern, the arpeggiator, the sequencer, the CC controllers if you want. This is also a MIDI interface. There's also the software that goes with it, where you have 2 big screens. The first one is where you have all the internal control, like the CC controllers for the 4 banks. You can decide what is which controller, the minimum and maximum of the range, and the MIDI channel is going to be using. And you have sequence here, the sequence settings, especially for the clock compatibility at the back to control like Chord or Roland or other type of devices, Moog, for example. So these different choices here. Same logic with the gate outputs. Is it in hertz per volt or volt per octave? So depending on what type of device you're controlling, you're going to have to select this to adapt it so it works the right way. And everything else is basically just a big window to control stuff. But if you go into sequence section, you see your sequence. You see what you just did. You see what you just recorded. And you can actually go in, and if you don't like something, you can say, well, I want to create this. I want to have it longer. I want this to be, another key. So you can actually you can draw, repair, and this is where you can save your memory, because there's no more. I mean, you have 8 of these memory of the sequence in it, but that's it. If you want to have more, you need to have your computer, save it to the computer. So it's easy to load between projects. You just click, and in real time, it's going to send the new sound, the new sequences, the new patch of 8 sequence in it. So if you're looking for something that triggers ideas, I think that this is a great pick for that. That's it. Like always, stay safe, make more music, and see you soon. Cheers.